This is Raising Bosses. I'm your host, Shauna J. Ray, and on this podcast, it's a space for parents, dreamers, and entrepreneurs who believe that nurturing a family and building success can go hand in hand. These are real stories, heartfelt strategies, and a reminder that your family and your goals can grow together. So stay tuned. With you guys again. Thanks for joining me for another podcast episode for Raising Bosses. I've been going into a lot of things on here and I will continue to do so, guys, so stay tuned like you've been doing. Basically, we're going to go into my notary journey a little bit more in today, and I've been kind of dabbling in it, so I'm just going to kind of more full on explain all the things that how I got started and things like that. Now, this episode is for my fellow notaries and people that might be looking into becoming a notary as well. Or you just might be curious. That's fine too. A little curiosity on, the situation, the process. That's understandable. So I want to kind of delve into not just my notary journey in its own on its own, but actually the journey around it. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible as I can in these episodes, so you guys get kind of a more full scope and approach to the ins and outs of these things, because a lot of times we hear these stories and it's just I was doing this and then I became a notary and but I kind of want to just go a little bit more in depth on some other things that were just the start to finish, why I kind of got started and, what kind of motivated me and things like that in the situation. And everybody's story is always different, which is great. That's why I want to come on here and tell mine, because maybe your story is like mine. Maybe it's not like mine. Maybe the elements will help you guys figure out your own things. So that's why we're here. That's why we love to talk. Of course, you guys don't forget to ask questions in the comments and, share these podcasts too, because, share with the community, let other people find us as well. So basically, in a short version is basically, as a child, I had been around situations where my parents, grandparents needed notaries, and I didn't really understand it, of course. And I'm even as an adult, to be honest, guys, I still didn't understand it. I'll give you guys a little tidbit. I actually didn't understand really what I had to do until I actually became a notary. So I had been a child and just kind of heard about it, and I thought it was something simple and cool. Not really knowing, obviously, the depths in which it goes or can go. And a lot of people aren't familiar, too, because, some people, they're like, oh, a notary, okay, cool, that's cool, whatever. Because they just think, how you go to the bank and you stamp and you sign and that's it. But it's actually so much more to it. And I, as a child, never really looked into it or really had much known about it. I knew a few, older people in my life that were notaries, but never really focused on it, never really studied it or anything like that. Now, fast forward, I know a few years ago it had come up again in my mind. I didn't do anything about it per usual, besides the point, but I knew it was there. And then in 2022, I separated from my husband, and the divorce proceedings started. And while staying with my mom, I had always seen a sign, her next door neighbor, that she was, her next door neighbor. They had a sign in their yard that they were a notary. So during the divorce, she was the go-to for me. And, she helped me tremendously, because not having to run down the street or find somebody, schedule somebody, she was just right there to be able to help me. And I just found that literally so amazing and helpful. And I was like, oh my God, she doesn't even understand what this means to me right now, because I don't have time and things like that. And I'm able to get the stuff to my lawyer in time, maybe able to get the stuff back in time. So I thought that it was just something so helpful, and something was like pressing on me. It's like, oh, you've been thinking about it since childhood, you know? So I started looking into it very briefly. Honestly, it wasn't like one of those in-depth types of searches. It was more like kind of getting the main, you know, idea of like how to become one, not do too much, not really too much in depth. But I had actually decided that I had more time to actually look into something else I had been interested in since childhood, and just in general is my is real estate. So I always wanted to be a real estate agent. I always wanted to get my license in real estate. I always had like these big real estate dreams that I, you know, wanted to pursue. And I felt like being a real estate agent would really help that. So I had actually began one of those courses where, you know, like they train you for the real estate exam, and, you know, you take all your credentials and things like that to get started. And I started that during the divorce proceedings. I had to move. So I had to leave my place of support with my mom and go to, I had to leave and go closer to where my kids, to keep up with, you know, the transition of my kids back and forth. So I was able to move at that point, but with the move transition, just trying to get back in things in order, I really didn't, you know, keep up with the real estate course. So I let it lapse. It was one of those that it like, you know, you get it for so many months and then you have to renew it if you're not done with it. So I did that, let it lapse, and I was like, you know what? It would be really cool if I looked back into to Notary. So I looked into it again a little bit more in depth this time and was like, okay, you know what? This is something I could potentially do. And I kind of let it go again. And then one night, was around a friend. She was going to school, and she mentioned how her professor was talking about them doing that and how it was a good idea. And I was like, what? I said, I just started thinking about this again, and now you're bringing it up. So I took it as a sign. I got the information from her. I went home. I started doing some digging, got my prices together. I was like, okay, you know what? This is actually quicker for me to get this now, and we can focus on real estate later. You know, nothing wrong with that, right? Come back to it at another time. So I thought that was a really easy idea, because I felt like if I went back to real estate, I would have more under my belt. I would be able to start working sooner. That was my idea. So it's pretty simple to get, at least in Florida. I'm speaking from Florida experience. And when I say easy, I mean like there is no course that you have to go through for real. So it's like a little 3-hour, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar in some states, like when you take your permit or something and you have like that class, you have to like watch the slides, read a little bit or whatever. There's no slides. It's just reading. And then you have to pay for your commission stuff and your insurances and things like that. So pretty simple process, guys. So, like I said, just check your state laws, honestly, because every state is different, and some of them do more, some of them do less. But then essentially you have to file a whole bunch of paperwork to get commissioned by the state, make sure everything is good, and then they give you your stamp and everything like that. And I actually had found a program that allowed you to do the remote online notary in conjunction with. So once you finish your notary program, you actually can, you continue a few more paperwork, and it's just already like I paid one price. I didn't have to do it separately. Some of them, like, you have to either do it separately or like with a different company, and this one was all in one. That's why I loved it. So I got my commission with them, and then send back in the paperwork for me to get my remote online notary. And if you are not if you're a notary right now and you're not a remote online notary and you're in a state that can, I deeply encourage you to go ahead and become a remote online notary. It's pretty simple. If you've ever done a Zoom call, if you've ever done like DocuSign, which we're all usually familiar with, especially in this space, you're going to do just fine. I mean, if you can meet people in person, you can definitely, you don't have to be computer savvy. There's a few little ins and outs, but like for the most part, it's very simple. And you get set up with your different companies that you're going to be working with, and actually doing the notarizations with. It's really simple. So I always encourage you guys to do that. It's going to open up a new set of ways that you can do your notarizations and make it easy for both you and your clientele. So so I set all that up. I was really happy. I did fast track myself. A lot of people was like talking about a lot of people were talking about doing loan signing. As I became a notary, during my research, I see a lot of people talking about loan signing. And I'm like, what is this? I'm still learning what being a notary is. And now there's this other thing that they said is super lucrative. So I had to look into it. And so becoming a notary, I then fast tracked it took me about a month. I actually signed up for becoming a loan signing agent and getting certified. So you can just do the background check and then get it, or you can be certified. So I did do that because I wanted to learn more of the process and things like that. So I did that within the NNA, and I felt like it was pretty simple. I was really learning. I knew some of that stuff a little bit better because I'd already been studying like the real estate. So if you have any knowledge of like real estate, if you're familiar with signing documents for financial reasons, really quick and simple, guys. So like, don't be afraid of these like tests and things and these procedures. Like, just take it in full head. If you're thinking about being a loan signing agent, please do it. I feel like, especially in this type of industry, certain things, when we could just kind of tack it along, there's no reason not to. And we have to just get over these quote unquote fears of like how to handle it. Find a way to work it out, find a way to learn about it. I'm here if you guys need anything. If you guys are interested in doing something as a notary, even if I haven't done it, like I'd like to get on here and talk to you about some of the things that I know about it, anything, or I'd have somebody come on here and talk to you guys, because I feel like it's really important to have these avenues open for us. And a lot of times, people are just doing things and they're like, oh, I just want to stay in this one lane, and you don't realize you might actually like it. It might be very lucrative for you. So at least try it, But yeah, so I became a loan signing agent a month after getting my commission. And like I said, that's why, because I believe in doing things if I can. I had the money, I had the time to study, I had and it's not to say if you feel like you don't have the time, you can't do it. No, you just got to play with it. It's all self-paced too. Or you could just get your background check and do it that way. But if you really want to learn the process and get certified, a lot more clientele will, like your certification. But obviously, it really does matter when you have those that experience under you at that point too. So worry about that as well too, guys. That's why I like to try and do stuff right after it. It was, I did that one right after. So I started loan signing, and with the loan signings, I have yet to go to like signing companies and stuff like that to get stuff, but there is a ton of what's called these signing agencies and things like that. So they'll actually give you, excuse me, guys, they'll actually give you the work and send you out. And so I did that, and that was really helpful. I really liked the idea. I would always, try and talk up to my clientele and things like that. So that was one way as a notary, because I started so early on with the loan signing. I did, do them here and there. Now, it wasn't like, for me at least, trying to balance everything. I didn't have a car for the first couple of months. I had transportation, but I didn't have my own car. So for the first couple of months of being a notary, I didn't take the work that was coming to me. I wasn't really taking it because I couldn't get there, or, I had to like arrange, to get out transportation out there. So once I got my car, I did start taking on more stuff, and like, the signing agent, I signed up for everything I could find. and be able to actually like set up. So like set them up, make sure you have all your credentials and things like that. It's pretty easy. It's kind of like, signing up for, a profile on something, just like anything else. You're adding your notary credentials, letting them know you're legally able to do these jobs, that sort of thing. So real simple stuff once you get your certification or your background check for it. And the NNA will help you with so much stuff. Also, guys, make sure you get those NNA memberships. If you can get an NNA membership, especially if you're just starting out, at least just that having someone to call if I feel like I'm not sure about something has been really wonderful and helpful, to have like an actual human, and they're really fast on the phone. So that was one of the reasons. And all of the other little things that come along with the membership as well is just really helpful, especially as a newer notary. So yeah, I started taking loan signings and things like that from the signing agencies, signing companies, and that's been really good with it. So initially my growth in that area was really slow, but I want to backtrack real quick because I did miss a part. So in the meanwhile of like studying for the stuff to be a notary, like I read the thing in a couple of hours. It's like a 3-hour course. So, I read that, and then you have to, like I said, get the commission, and that means you have to put up money for it. It is different for each program. It's different for everything. But when I had initially found out the pricing, and I was like, okay, so such and such paycheck is what's going to go towards me paying for this. So in the meanwhile, I set up did I get an Instagram? I think I got an Instagram after. I set up a Facebook page. I got that all optimized. I set up a Google page. I set up a website with Google Sites. So free, guys. There's all types of free ones. Wix, Square. It was just the one that I was like, oh, let me just try this. You can always like send them to the next, platform and what have you. But yeah, so I set up a quick little website, and I went on Canva because I'm big on Canva, guys. I love to use Canva for everything. I've been using Canva for probably like 10 years now. So, or maybe a little bit less. I'm not really sure, but it's been a good chunk of time. So I went on Canva, and even the graphics for this podcast are from Canva. So I've been using it for some time now, almost 10 years at least. But yeah, I went on Canva. I created like some, headers. I think I did like some business cards. I try to set up stuff. But most importantly, I set up a Google page and a little website. So while I don't want to pressure anybody to think that they need a website, how do I put this? I don't want to pressure anybody to think that they absolutely need a website. I think it's more important to have like Facebook and Instagram, especially if you don't have the means to have a website for real yet. But there's so many free ways to do a website out here. It is good to have because it just gives you more, what is that called? Like when you're on the internet, so people can find you. It gives you more words on the internet, more keywords on the internet. So like your name, you have a website, it just gives you more, social, more proof on the internet space. So that's why I encourage you in whatever way you need to make sure you have a website. But I really feel like, especially in this day and age, start off, make sure you have social media for your page. Even if you don't have a personal social media, definitely keep the social media for your business front and center. So yeah, so I set up all of these things, and I set up all of these things for my, notary business that I was, setting up. I was like, okay, I've got a website. I fully decked everything out. It just needed to be like hit publish type of thing. And in the meantime, I said, while I'm waiting for my check to come in that I'm going to pay for all this with, set all this stuff up, I got myself fast tracked again. Because now what happens is between the first time, so you have to be commissioned to be a remote online notary. So it basically is like a double, like you take a little course to explain it a little bit, or like, another little reading program thing, and then you send away again. So you do have to get stuff like notarized when you're filling out all these paperworks and things like that. So there is, most of the time in between getting commissioned and stuff is just waiting for paperwork. Like, you got to send this off, you got to send that off, then you got to wait for this to come, then you got to send. So it was, 3 weeks or whatever it was before I got my stamp, and then another week or two before I was confirmed to have my remote online notary qualifications ready. So as soon as that stamp hit, I was like, it had been, like I said, probably only almost a month at this point. And I was like, okay, now it's time to like start talking about it. I didn't start posting, I'll be honest with you guys. So I didn't originally start posting because, one, I didn't have a car. Two, I just felt really self-conscious kind of putting even though I don't know how to explain this. If you guys have seen any of my social media, I've been on social media for a long time and I post for a while, but there are still things that I still get a little self-conscious about, So for a little while, for a few months, I did not really put out there that I was a notary. So people didn't know in my real space, and I speak against this. I spoke against it then and I speak against it now. We shouldn't do that, guys. Okay. Because how the heck is anybody supposed to know what we can help them with if we're hiding it? And I knew this, and I'm telling y'all this to be transparent, to let y'all know that I do it too. And I want to keep us all like in a mind space of knowing like, no, we need to get our things done. We need to make sure people know where we are and what we do. So I really think too, it was also me just preparing, like me trying to like figure out how to approach this a certain way, still finding like how I wanted this to be a certain way. So that was one of the reasons why. So I was so glad that I, had already taken heed to setting up my page, because since I set up my page, I set up my what do you call it? My Facebook. I did the Instagram later. Let me just segue to this too, guys. Don't be afraid of having social media. The minimum you should have is Facebook and Instagram, because, one, they are synced. So whatever is your favorite one to post and save on. Well, I'm not sure if it posts from Facebook because I like to post from Instagram. But since I post from Instagram, it posts to my Facebook page. So I don't have to worry about maintaining those two separate pages, that they're linked for my business. And I always tell people that's the minimum you should have, because like Facebook has been so deep in this marketing space and being so many different avenues in which you can freely market on Facebook. So very important to keep that in mind. And that way you can always have people coming in, because it'll also generate like people to be able to see you. You know what I mean? You post and somebody pops in on your page, almost like a storefront. So I do encourage y'all to make sure y'all have that. Now, the website, I didn't do anything crazy. It's nothing special. I did build out a few pages and I keep adding to it, and I don't really I haven't updated it in a while. So I've had it for a little over a year. I haven't updated it in a while, and I do plan on going back and updating it again, because I do have to add new services, revamp a few things, add this podcast embedded into the website. So I haven't done that as of yet, even though I just started this podcast like 2-3 weeks ago, or restarted it rather. So yeah, I need to do those things. But so I don't feel like the website itself has brought me business on its own. I don't advertise the website a certain way anyway. I also don't have my own domain name for that website yet. It was more like a space in which you could see all of the details on my notary business. So it was like not something that I was worried about being like social media with, but really just going on there and, making sure that there is words on the internet that say I can help people besides just social media, if that makes sense. What is it? The like digital footprint? Is that the word that I'm looking for, guys? That like your digital footprint, like you want that for your business. So you want as much words on websites, your voice on things. You want your name, your business name on a lot of things and details. So one thing that I am heavy on is Google business page. So with the Google business page, that is where I would say I got the most business from. Because think about it, where do you go to even find something to find a website? If you don't know a website or you're looking for something specific to find a website on, you would Google it. So that right in itself should be the frame of mind that you have on why it is important to be on Google business page. And I actually ask people, so if you're not doing this already in your business, ask people, where did you find me? If you've ever been asked that question from like different stores and things like that, how did you find us? They always ask that little referral page. They want to know what advertising is working. Where am I being seen so I can keep being seen there and, draw more attention to get more there. And that's very important. So Google business page has been really easy to do that with. A lot of people find me on Google. If I had to say like my top 3, and we'll get on this more in detail too in other podcast episodes, like, more, I don't know how the detailing needs to go, but I'll definitely give you guys more details on that specifically. But Google business page has been really good to me in that sense. And it's actually super simple to, 1, set up, 2, to maintain. So I have been telling everybody, if you already have a Google page, congrats, treat it kind of like social media. Because again, like I said, you want to have as much words out there in the atmosphere on the digital space. So that is one way, by posting on it. So I don't know if everybody's familiar. I didn't know this until I got a Google page account. But there is a section where you can post like captions and stuff, not just like review pictures as the business. So you can post your own, pictures and events and offers and everything like that also. And then don't forget your social media and everything. Well, at least your website can be linked and you can book from and stuff like that. So for the first probably like 6 months to a year of being a notary with this Google page, I was posting on it frequently. I was posting on it every day, every other day, and in the beginning, I remember, I think I was getting like a client a week, and they were all coming from my Google page. So that was the initial like aha moment to be like, yep, this is where the money is. I need to keep this up. I'm doing it right. And I'm going to follow through from here. So it's been really good in that sense. And then it probably got to the point where I was getting like 2 or 3 a week. And not to say everyone was a client either, but the fact that I was getting calls and getting clicks, and people were in text messages, and people were telling me they found me on there. So if I had to rank them, it would probably go Google, at least for me, Google page, Facebook, and then Craigslist. And like I said, I'll try and do a second podcast on like kind of going over that more and depth of different like avenues of being able to put your stuff out there on, and ways that it's helped and worked. And these are a lot of times free or extremely cheap, guys. So we're not running ads or anything yet. I want to get into that. I've been wanting to learn more about that. So that is going to be one of the things that I am going to be talking about. I'll probably find somebody that does them and get them on here to talk about it with us in the meanwhile. But yeah, so with all of the Google traction, there is analytics in there. You can run ads on Google. You can do all of these things and link it back. With Google, making sure you have like making sure you have reviews and things. Those things are easy to set up and make sure it's optimized so that you can get this. So this is what I learned very early on, was about optimizing my Google business page. So before I even fully had the business, I was already optimizing my Google business page. So I do want to just segue right here, guys, because if I don't say it now, I feel like I'm going to forget. I literally so I'm recording this on the 14th of December, and I think I'm going to post this today as well. But last night I did finalize my Google business page auditing checklist. So I am going to leave that in the description and the show notes and things like that, so you guys can click on it. Now that is going to be free. So as I speak, because I told you guys I'm going to be transparent here, guys, and I also want to keep you guys abreast. That's why y'all are on this podcast, to be abreast of the things that I have coming out. So I basically, in the next few days, hopefully as much as possible, I'll have up here, but I will be going not only further in depth into Google Business Page. I really believe in Google Business Page, so I do want to fully address it with you all. So by that, I mean that I have some things in the works that are going to benefit you guys more than just this podcast, that you guys are going to be able to do not only by yourself, right? Because I'm not trying to leave you out there to the wolves, but stuff that I will be able to physically help you with when it comes to your Google business page. So you guys know I'm always out here trying to teach y'all new things and help y'all with ways to get those endeavors in place, really. So because I know it's so important to have an optimized Google business page, and I want everybody to understand it's easy, quick, and simple, I've got a few tools coming out that I've already started. I'm going to have my Gumroad linked in here. I've already started posting up. So actually the audit page is currently, once I post this, it should be up by the time I post this. The audit page should be up. I have a prompt book coming out. So if you already have a Google page, you're going to be able to optimize it. Actually, no, I take that back. That's already linked. So that's already available, you guys. So it is available in the Gumroad information that I'm going to have linked, like on my actual Gumroad page. That's where I sell these digital products, guys, so you guys can check them out there. And so yeah, I have a few more things coming out, and of course things that I will be able to help you with directly. Of course, I still do coaching and things like that. But yeah, I really believe in Google Business Page. And I was raised in the generation of when Google came out, when YouTube and all these things. So I've seen all of these things grow. So I know how important a lot of them have been when they were here, when they weren't here. So I tell you guys this from more than just experience. I'm coming from a few different spots when I say that. So I want y'all to know, one, it's super important, and two, it's easy. So I want to, make that and facilitate that to be easier for you. But yeah, check out the show notes. You guys can, get help from me and things like that. If you need, I would love to do that for you guys. But I really believe in Google, in the Google page. So it's helped a lot with my initial growth. And I feel like, especially in this day and age, Google is kind of, that's like, those are your options. Like you can't really, do that without it. Next, I have to get on Maps. So the only reason I hadn't been on Maps before was because when I initially did it, it asked me for, like, it needed LLC documentation, like some type of business documentation. And once I got my LLC, I did forget to do it. So I do need to do that. So I don't know about the growth on there yet. I've heard good things, because I can only imagine. I use my Google Maps more than I use my Apple Maps more than I use my Google Maps. And both of them obviously are taken into consideration. A lot of people use both. So, or a lot of, like a lot of people, they're both very popular. So I can only imagine that if I am getting work from Google page, then I definitely could see how Apple's would be effective as well. So keep that in mind. It doesn't mean you have to be an Apple person to be on Apple Maps. You shouldn't think like that. You should want, like I said, you want your digital footprint for your business to be seen. So worry about that before you worry about, oh, I'm not on this platform, I don't have this device, or whatever it is. Figure it out. And these are not things that it matters in that direction. So that's good. Like I said, if you don't have Facebook and or Instagram, you just need to be able to sign up to make a business account. You don't have to have a personal account like that. So and then you can link them, and you don't have to worry about if you don't use the other one. You know what I mean? So think about those things. Think about how can you get your business seen? How do you get the most eyeballs that, to know that you're available to help people? So with the Google page, that's been where I just see a lot of growth. Facebook has been really helpful because groups in general, because groups, when you join these notary groups, they will tell you where things are, or, how to like how I'm on here talking to you guys. These notary groups are helpful for that. But then you can also post, I like to post in like the mom groups and like the city groups, like the groups like garage sailing and for your city. So I've gotten, like the other part of a lot of my work through Facebook pages, doing the groups. So they see me on the groups, and then they're like, oh, I seen, you posted a video in the group, and I seen, you posted this. And again, guys, I have more digital products that you guys can check out right now that actually help facilitate easing fear, easing creativity blocks in these areas that I'm talking about too. So you guys can check that out. I have like my cross posting guide. The cross posting guide is really helpful because if you guys are like, oh my God, where else do I post? That's another way that you get your digital footprint out there. But also, like I said, how do you post in these places to get your business seen? So like social media is really a big thing. These big companies are using social media as a means to find us to buy their products. And then we hesitate when it comes to people buying ours. And it's very interesting to me because it's like, you don't think it'll work because it's like social media is lame or whatever. Use it for a good purpose. Don't worry about if you think it's, less than ideal for whatever. Use it for a business purpose. Make it work for you. Make it make something be important for you, because that's what these big companies are doing. You're buying because, you're scrolling, or, you know what I mean? Maybe not because you're scrolling, but you get what I'm saying. People are buying because they're scrolling and seeing these. Now, Facebook has been, another, like I said, one that was really helpful. I've gotten a lot of people, calling me from there. I've gotten referrals. People have referred other people because they saw my things on Facebook groups. And there's all these different avenues. Like I said, I'm going to go into detail about it, but I'm just kind of like letting y'all know like my top 3 basically right now of ways, like if you're already a notary or you're already in any type of business and you're like, dang, how can I like spark some clientele up? Yes, make sure you're posting. You guys know I'm going to tell you this every time. Make sure you are posting. Make sure you are telling people. Now, when you get on there, you have more places to post and tell people. That's all we're doing. We're figuring out where we can post and tell people. Now, the third one, I actually have not done in a while. So the first 2, I'm talking about completely free. Okay. There are paid, you can post and boost your posts and stuff like that. I'm not talking about none of that right now. I don't do that. I know people can. I'd rather run ads. I still have to learn how to run ads. But anyway, my top third one I have to start back on is paid, but it's not expensive at all. And that's actually Craigslist. Craigslist I think the ROI on Craigslist has been like so exponential because I had heard about it. And, I only heard probably 1 or 2 notaries speak on Craigslist. But for the older generation, they claim the older generation is mostly on there getting things like these services. And I say that to say, basically, we got to remember like clientele, especially as a notary, everyone is our clientele. You're going to need a notary, I feel like, at least once in life. If you do anything to do anything, you're going to need a notary at some point. You know what I mean? So in my head, thinking that I don't need to do it because it's not my ideal clientele, or so I don't. It's not that it's not my ideal clientele. I'm just trying to put examples out, because I know some people like, oh, I don't really go in there because it's this type of person, and I don't da, 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 da. And I say this to say, hey, we've got to remember certain people, they're not on social media. They're not even really on the internet for real, but they are on places like Craigslist. You know, maybe they're not on the internet, but maybe they will see you in the Facebook market group. But you're like, oh, I don't do Facebook. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean it by when I point out that was said to me. It's like, oh, the older clientele, because they're not on Facebook. They're on Facebook, but they're not on the websites a certain way. They're not on social media a certain way. So like finding them in certain areas, that's perfect. Everyone's my clientele. So as a notary, you know, because like I said, I already needs one. So, yeah, so that has been really lucrative. So with how it works with Craigslist is that, for things like that, like your business and stuff, you have to pay an ad fee. So you get 30 days of this ad space to post, just like you would see all the other posts. It's $5, and you can post, I'll get to that, but like you have different categories you can post in. And because I'm a notary, like I said, guys, I can help everybody. So I post in all the categories. Not only that, it's just that, don't forget, somebody might be looking for something else, need a notary. And because I posted in the other one that, you know, I'm there, and they might have looked in another one, they'll find me. So my goal, I think I probably started off with like $10, maybe $10 or $15. I actually don't even know. I think I would do like one ad and then add another one. So maybe I spent $10 to $15 the first initial time I did it. And if I'm not mistaken, my very first time putting ads on Craigslist, I got my very first wedding client. So that was really interesting because that made the ROI through the roof. And I did get probably like the few times that I've done it, I've only probably done it like 3-4 months. I spent probably like $20 and I've gotten 2-3 clients. And that's just, like I said, just posting like that. And don't forget different areas, on Craigslist. So there's different, like, different avenues to post. So you don't have to feel like, oh, I can only post in legal. I post in pets. Because guess what? People need documentation for their pets. You know, we cannot let these things slide. So with all of the categories, I think when I budgeted it out, it was less than $100 to be in every single category each month. So when you do like the ads for a lot of these things are like $100 a month, what? That's insane. But like insane as in cheap, you know, because it's like, what? Like you want to spend like hundreds of dollars a month on other, but you can't. I mean, unless you put in multiple ads, like you can put in multiple ads, but I'm saying for me to put one, like I'm a notary, I do all of these things posts, in each category that I can, it was very easy for me to do like $20 a month post in 4 different categories and, you know, get clientele that way. So I have had a decent amount of clientele, but because it's $5, you know, one client, $5 to $20, one client pays for that. You know what I mean? One client is going to pay for that because, you know, one notarization or whatever. Like I said, I had a whole wedding client. So like, do you see what I'm saying? I had a wedding to be officiating. That's another reason I was just like, wow. And the few times that I've posted on there, I've always gotten hits. I think I've always gotten clientele too. I want to say I've always gotten clientele, but forgive me, I won't even say that because I can't remember, but I do ask everybody. I do need to start tracking it. That is one thing I haven't been doing, is like I would mentally remember that this person said Facebook, you know, but I haven't marked it down. I will be getting on here and talking to you guys about keeping up with like your CRM and keeping up with a way to organize your clientele. I've had a few different ways and I don't use any of them to keep them organized. So I think I'm going to go back and kind of do it the smart way or the simple way and start a Google Sheets. Is it Google? Yeah, Google Sheets to organize them. And then I'll be able to import that into whatever CRM I use. So if you guys are kind of where I am, that's one way to get around it is start with a Excel spreadsheet. And if you guys would like me to make one of those or like share that here, I definitely don't mind. But I really want you guys to check out my Gumroad too, because I have so many products that I am coming out with and posting about, and I'm going to be talking about. Like I said, guys, you're going to probably be like the first ones to hear about stuff, because I'm going to come on here and tell you guys what's up and what's new, and then it's going to get, video posts on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. So you guys are pretty much the first to hear it here. And like I said, my Gumroad, keep checking back, follow and all that other stuff, subscribe, be a part of my email list and things. And I also just want to point out, because I know I'm talking about a lot of notary things. I know I produce a lot of things for notaries. This is not just for notaries. A lot of the things that I'm telling you guys about is adaptable to most businesses. So while you can get my product and you might be able to adapt it to your business, just letting y'all know you don't have to be a notary. Now, whatever business you in, I'm not gonna lie, guys, get that notary commission either way, because you can't go wrong being a notary. If you have any other business and you just so happen to also add notary to it, and you can build another stream of income, become a loan signing agent, depending on what you already do, you could have you could already, have it set up where you're like, oh, this goes right along with, I'm a CPA or whatever. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but, being a notary has been pretty lucrative, or can be pretty lucrative, especially if you have other clientele. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, these products can be used. Like if you have a business, you should have a Google business page. So I encourage that. And I'm talking about that here. I've got products for you guys. And, if I can't help you, I will definitely find somebody I can at least interview to at least facilitate in that. So definitely want to help you guys with that. I know some things that's how I fast track. That's how I initially started with my notary stuff and my business. And I really just loved the idea. Like I said, initially, the first notary was a big help to me. And because of that help, it was just like one of those things I was like, oh my God, how can I help more people like this? And so finding out that when you're a notary, there's so many different avenues and things that you can, do. So my goal is to basically be able to help people, throughout their lifetime with various things. So I do a little bit of everything, guys. So currently in the last year, I did become a real estate agent, and we'll talk about that as well, guys. But a year after becoming a notary and loan signing agent, I did become a real estate agent. And that was one of the bigger add-ons that I had used. But as a notary, there's so many not smaller, but like things that you can get in that are like quicker and easy to get into. And like some of the stuff you don't need a certification because you're a notary. It kind of puts your foot in the door. And finding this out, I was like, wait, you mean I can help people in more ways than just helping them with their documents? Let's figure this out. So like I said, one of the things I did was become a loan signing agent. Okay, cool. I don't talk about this enough, and I'm trying to remember to tell people, but I guess I thought it would be like one of those things that kind of like breezes along with what I do, because like I'll know people. Basically, I do offer like concierge services, like I'll try and like help you, or VA services, where I try to help you. Like if you need to plan something, you need to send like certain emails, you need to get in touch with like an event planner, you need to get like, those type of things set up. That was one of the initial things that I started, because I was like, I know people that do things, so I want to start, meshing with that, because I already know how collaborations work and things like that. So this is what was in my mind. How can I help more people? Being in real estate and loan signing, I can help you, sign the loans. I can help you sell the house, buy a new house. You have a new baby, this and that. So becoming a notary, like I said, I told you guys I did my first wedding, my first like elopement wedding type of situation. And being a notary in Florida, at least some of these states, when you're a notary, you can just automatically officiate weddings. But you know me, guys, I'm going to deep dive and find out, because weddings was so intriguing to me. I was like, oh my God, this just sounds like really like something I would love doing on top of this. So how can I facilitate? So I am a wedding officiant. I do want to do weddings. I'm not just, I'm a notary and also can do weddings. I want to do weddings. With that, I started deep diving and I found out how to become a minister. And I wanted to become a minister because there's more people I can help, guys. So being a minister, that allows me to actually go all over the United States and marry people now. So now I can marry you no matter if I'm a notary in that state or not. And I love that idea. And then I can do everything I need to do with the wedding, and I can officiate it either way. So that I just absolutely just found to be so like amazing. Like now I have more. But also as a minister, I have other ways that I can help with ceremonies. So just to name things, and this is stuff that I haven't fully advertised yet for. So like I said, guys, in this resettling, you guys are hearing about it here. But yeah, so I can do baby blessings, namings, vow renewals, name change ceremonies, house blessings, speaking on here, let me just segue real quick. Business blessings is probably one of the first things I will be advertising for this, because I just kind of told everybody I was a minister. Everybody knows I'm a minister, but I don't advertise what I can do and help as a minister, and that's the problem. But so being a minister, I'm like, the business blessings. So you guys, if you guys want to hear about that, I'm going to be doing them virtually as well as in person. So I do believe in that, because I want to make it easy for everybody, and I'm going to have virtual services available. I'm heavy on virtual services. I was homeschooled online before. In like the early 2000s. I worked at home since 2009. And I worked for 10 years straight working at home. So like, I'm the virtual thing before COVID and all that stuff. I told everybody that it's just convenience for me, honestly. It's just convenience on both ends of it. But then when certain things are in place, it does make it difficult. So now we know virtual is big. So I do press that a lot in here, guys. And it's just faster. Let's talk about it. So with that, with the ministry, I can do a lot of different things. And being a person of more like spirituality, I guess I would call it, I loved the idea of being like a space for people in all atmospheres. So religious or not, I do not discriminate. But I want to put every element that you all want into whatever it is you're trying to set up or accomplish, or whatever the ceremony is. Like, that's what I want to do. So that's my bad, because I don't talk about it enough. But yeah, I just started being like, I was like business blessings, because I had a friend I wanted to talk about that with, and it would have been I just always thought that was such a cute idea, So yeah, I'm a minister, and I did that because, like I said, it expanded who I could help, who I could reach, who I could be a part of, helping them from beginning to just everything in life. Hopefully at this point, I'm doing everything. I feel like I'm everything with a doctor at this point. But yeah, so that's one of the things. Fingerprinting is something that was super simple to get into. I got like a little course or whatever just to figure out what I needed to do, break it down. That's super simple. You don't need anything specific. You don't need a course. I do advertise that, but I have only gotten calls, no actual like work for it yet. But people are seeing me talk about it. So fingerprinting is another easy one. E-fingerprinting and permit running has been something I want to look into. Haven't done yet. With permit running, it's just like it sounds. You take the permit, run it to wherever it needs to go, and back and forth and things like that. So then there's another one, process serving. So I haven't done this yet either or looked into it because the idea is kind of like scary to me. But I don't want to put any fear in anybody's heart. I want to speak candidly, I guess you could say, but it sounds scary to me. I haven't looked into it. So that's my ignorance speaking too, because it's probably not as bad as it could, as I'm thinking. I also keep that in mind, but I say this to you guys just so you guys know where I am at this as well. So process serving is where you you serve people the documents for like court and stuff. And I've thought about that. Field inspections. I've never actually done one, but I have fully looked into trying to do that. And the apps have given me problems. I've tried. But I've heard other ways of doing it too. There's other companies and things like that. I've tried to sign up for just about it. I feel like field inspections for me, hopefully I can get somebody to talk about this one of these days. But field inspections for me has been the one thing, like I just been like, wow, I looked into it and it's just not working for me. But it doesn't mean I've given up or stopped. Just letting you guys know, being candid, being transparent, if you will. So, it's really endless. I'm adding stuff on too that has not necessarily stuff to do with being a notary or like financial or like documents like that. Like I said, I'm concierge, the wedding officiant, and then I'm a minister. So like, that's also kind of separate. But at the end of the day, when you realize how many people I can help, when you realize how many people that like, because I do these things, I can always facilitate them in some moment of life. So I'm not just their notary, like I'm their notary. Maybe, I also help them buy or sell a house, maybe one of those loan signings I signed for them or something. So now, their kid, they bought a house for me and they have a kid. Now they want the kid and the house blessed and the child name change or the name blessing ceremony. So it's like, that's just like, wow. Like I would just be so overjoyed to be like, wow, I helped these people have a house. I married this couple. They bought a house from me. Now they're having a baby and they want me to perform the ceremony for this and that. And like, that's how I think about it, right, guys? Maybe I'm like romanticizing it too much, but I do like those long-term involved relationship with people. So that's how I kind of see it. Forgive me. Maybe I'm doing too much. Y'all can say it here. It's fine. This is a safe space. But that's like my biggest thing. It's like, I guess like I'm already a really helpful and giving person. So when that notary was helpful and giving to me, it just was like, wow, I know she's just like signing it and she's like, you're my friend, my neighbor's, daughter, like, let me help you out. And I'm here, so it's quick. But I really was like, wow, like I'm not knowing everybody's situation. And even though she didn't fully know my situation, like I'm looking back, this is 3 years now later, I'm looking back like, wow, you're like one of the stepping stones for me even wanting to be here. So I just like telling that story because it was just like really like, a simple process that was really life-changing for me in so many ways. Not even just life-changing in the fact that what she's helping me with, but like life-changing in the fact that it was like, wow, you're so helpful. Like I can't express to you enough how this was important to me. So being able to be in that space with anyone, helping them get something or remove or deal with something, and all I'm doing is being there for paperwork to make sure it's done properly for them, and that's like really facilitating their life, like loan signing. You're getting money, you're doing these things, like you're helping with your house or whatever. So it's like I see the help behind it all. Now it is beautiful with all this that I can monetize it, and I can monetize it and help people so that everyone is taken care of. And I want to teach more people how to do that, because some of these people are out here and they've already been a notary, and I'm over here like, dang, man, I wish I was up on game sooner, if that makes sense. Like, I wish I had been there. I'd done this sooner, but everything happens for a reason and on time. So, I'm here to just kind of address it. Like, even just getting back on this podcast, I was like, oh yeah, like y'all are going to hear a lot about my notary, because that's now my full on like business structure. I'm still a personal brand, of course. I still want to get on here with different companies. I still want to talk about a lot of other things, but I need to share this story. And it has a lot to do with the growth that is continuing in my life, the growth that I continue to seek in my life, and the growth that I want to help others fulfill. I'm sorry if this podcast is a little long. I do try to have these at least an hour when I'm talking by myself, so you guys have something to, listen to in your commute to work or home. And, again, help you guys, because maybe I inspired you guys. Maybe y'all are going to go home tonight and be like, oh yeah, like I need to do that thing that I was thinking about, just like I did. I needed to do that thing and I became a notary, and now I currently am not like a world famous notary or, whatever, like, but I'm in that growth process I'm going to push myself to be successful in all that I do. And I see ways that I have struggled and succeeded, and I have to talk about it, because I know that there's people going through it worse, and there's people that are kind of feeling stuck because they're like, I don't know where else to do or where I can go. So yeah, I kind of wanted to just come on there. Now, I told you guys, y'all are on here. Y'all are going to hear a lot about my next projects. I'm pushing a lot of things. I feel like I've mentioned it here, but I am in a pageant, guys, coming March, and it's here in Orlando, Florida. So I would love if, you guys had any support whatsoever, and support is not always monetary. And I want to stress that here. While it would be lovely if anyone wants to give to the proceedings, it would be more than helpful. Obviously, I'll have my links available. However, my support comes from you guys putting an ear, an eye, a finger tap on anything that is to do with my podcast, anything, but with the pageant especially too. But yeah, that's something of a more like a support outside of type of situation as well. So I do want to just like chat it up. I will be coming on here, okay, because I will have more pageant people and things like that. I will talk about the pageant more, because there are business aspects. And as an adult in a pageant, I didn't even know there's like a Miss Corporate America pageant, and I actually had a friend in it, and I love seeing it, because as an adult, some of these pageants are just kind of like, okay, you don't have like it's not that it has to have a topic. It's not that. It's just like being an adult, and I'm like, oh, either way, you're going to grow your platform, whatever you do in the social eye. But I really was like, oh, a pageant for corporate, like business women. I loved that idea. And finding this pageant, it's the Miss Orlando Carnival Queen pageant. And this is the second pageant I've ever been in my life. And it is something that is broadening my horizons in both my Caribbean community, as well as growth in general for my brand as a person and as a notary. So I want to come on here and talk to you guys about it, because one, it's a pivot point in my life, as well as it is something that I'm going to be able to help others talking about it. Because maybe you're out there and you're like, do I want to do this? Or I don't know that this is out there. And that's why I'm here to speak to you guys the way I am. I will be making things for this pageant. So support, if there is monetary support, it would be going to things like what I'm designing for the pageant and things that I'm doing for the pageant, so that I can, really have my way out there for, big, as much as I have envisioned. But I'm also using this podcast, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before. It's kind of like a little voice diary / remember those little diaries back in the day? It was like those blogs pages that you could go on there and be like, oh, my day was like this, and like other people would read it. It's like that. this is basically what I'm doing. But the topic is us all growing in business, us all growing in self-development. So this pageant is another thing about self-development for me. I will get on here on more in detail, like how I did this for the notary. I will get on here in detail and talk about how the pageant has changed and grown and helped me in things. So I am going to continue to push with growth and things like that. I'm going to continue to broaden my horizon. There are more I'm looking into. I'm going to end this with saying, make sure you guys check out my Gumroad. My Gumroad has all of my digital products on there. Of course, follow me on my social medias too. But my Gumroad is going to be linked. It's going to have things for helping you with your business marketing mainly. I talk a lot about marketing. So that's my thing, is like, we know how to do our businesses in and or out, but how are we getting out there and showing up for the public so they know what we do so that we can help them, And a lot of times we're not doing that. So that's where I am more gravitating towards. So if you want help with your marketing or being confident in your business, that self-development side, I have tons of stuff I am not only have out now, but they're going to continue to be produced and put on there, guys. So make sure you guys are checking that out. Make sure you guys stop following me on all my social media. Everything is at Shauna J. Ray. This podcast is at Raising Bosses. I'm on all social media. This podcast is syndicated on everything. Tell your friends, share this, like it. Please comment. Please share your stories. Let me know. Also, too, I want to open it up to my community so you guys know I do have a form for you guys. If you guys want to be a part of the podcast, you guys can fill out the form and be a part and potentially be a part of my podcast. If you guys want to fill that out and start, communicating with me, I would love that. So I'm going to broaden that too. If you guys got to come on here and say something, and I'm going to do more episodes too, where like we include you guys, but obviously I'm rebuilding my audience again, guys. So just keep tuned in for that. Until next time, guys. See you. Bye.